Hi, I'm Art Bergeron. And if you haven't seen this show before, welcome to Frank and Mary in Hudson. The point of this show is really to talk about my friends Frank and Mary. If you've seen my presentations at the Hudson Senior Center, you know that Frank and Mary's goal in life is to live in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard. So the question is, if you identify with that, who are the people you need to know? What are the programs you need to know about in order to basically stay in Hudson for the rest of your life? So I was speaking to my good friend Janice Long, who always recommends these great guests for me to have on. And she talked about Brian Stearns, who has been working as the veterans agent in Hudson for some time now, to talk about a variety of programs. Obviously, he's dealing with issues across the board, dealing with all veterans. So I wanted to talk about any of those programs that would be relevant, especially to folks who are older. So Brian, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, sir.
It sounds like any friend of Janice's is a friend of mine, right? The Janice is just
Absolutely.
she's an unbelievable resource. And so, could you just kind of talk a little bit first about kind of how you ended up being involved in Hudson and how long you've been doing this, and then talk about what you think are the programs that would be of most concern to my friends Frank and Mary. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Mr. Bergeron. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about all of our veterans. I've been doing this for about 18 years in Hudson. So I've seen quite a few things come across my desk as far as benefits needed by older veterans, all veterans actually.
So you
So
probably you're going to start needing my services pretty soon. You're
I
getting you're
am.
getting you're
I
getting
am.
to look like Frank and Mary. That's interesting.
uh,
So
the whole purpose of our veterans program in Hudson and the other surrounding communities or throughout the entire Commonwealth is based on the veteran service. And veterans honorable service should be considered, one of the top priorities of moving forward after they get out of the service.
right, right.
Massachusetts is a leader in veteran services. We have a Department of Veteran Services in Boston that we rely on to get the benefits that we need for the towns that we serve. I also serve the town of Southborough and Berlin and Bolton.
Hmm.
So it's a busy office. We have many programs. One of the biggest programs that we run, and the reason why we're here, is the Chapter 115 program.
Hmm.
Mass General Legislation Chapter 115 is based on income and assets, and it allows veterans, their spouses, widows, widowers to apply for additional assistance if they're below the 200% poverty level. So that's one of the biggest programs. It allows us to provide them with services, financial services, housing services, fuel assistance, things of that nature, so that they don't have to live in wonder how they're going to pay that fuel bill, or wonder if they're going to have enough at the end of the month.
And
Uh,
can you give folks a sense of, and once again, I'm not trying to put you on the spot of
no,
kind of what those numbers might look like. So if you were, say you're Frank and Mary, and say Frank was a veteran, right? So
correct.
you're and the kids are grown up, so you're a family of two,
Yep,
and you're living in your house, and you want to keep living there, and you got a house, so your house is worth something, right? And
sure.
it's in Hudson, right? The fabulous Hudson, which is like everybody
Growing.
wants to live in Hudson now. So the Hudson, say the value is $300,000, $400,000, and their income is Social Security basically. Say Frank's getting a check and Mary's getting half of his. Can you just kind of talk about how these folks would think about whether they'd be eligible for anything, and if so, what they might be eligible for? Would that be okay?
Sure, that'd be great. The biggest thing is people aren't aware, and programs like yours make people aware. Our veteran community sometimes isn't aware because uh, they just don't realize that the benefits out there. So through programs like your own and Janice at the senior centers and Shine counselors and things like that, it allows us to bring that to the forefront for their needs. So if you've got Mary and Frank and Mary, and they're living in their home on Social Security only, then they should seek out the veterans officer in that town
Hmm.
that they live in, Hudson, Berlin, or any town in the Commonwealth. It doesn't carry over to other states, so it's just basically in the state of Massachusetts. So if they're a married couple and their income is, hang on one second, please, under, let me see, just change the numbers. So if they're a married couple, their income has to be under $2,900 per month.
Under $2,900 per month.
Per month.
Right, which would actually be right about where a lot of my clients are. So, your typical Frank check for Social Security right now is about $2,000 a month. Your typical Mary check is therefore half of about $1,000. So just a little bit below that,
work, huh?
right? Just a little bit below that, and they should be interested. They should be interested in talking to you about benefits.
Sure,
right?
and
so that's a lot of people. And if Frank is dead and Mary is a widow, can she still be talking to you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
She definitely should be talking to us.
Okay.
One of the biggest things is a lot of people don't realize is they may qualify under different budgets. So if it's a married couple, a single person, or if it's a widow, or even a transitional or medical only. And I'll get into medical only in a minute, but the thing about the benefits is we provide a monthly ordinary benefit allowance, a fuel allowance, reimbursements on prescriptions and co-pays for doctors, and things of that nature.
And those reimbursements would even be for things that are outside of the VA system. So these are reimbursement for folks, on the private side,
especially outside, because in the VA system, the VA is strictly limited to the veteran, unless the veteran died of 100% disability, and then CHAMP VA may kick in for the widow. But those are all different categories that'll take a lot more time to talk about. But the one thing that I see a lot are medical onlys. So they exceed the allowance that what we just discussed, and the asset limit is $16,600. So they have to have less than $16,600 in liquefiable assets. It does not include home, doesn't include car, things like that. So if they're under $16,000 basically in the bank and IRAs and things like that, then they would also qualify.
Yeah. So now I'm going to ask you the standard, my elder Frank and Mary Mass Health related question. So if they have that amount of assets and they give them away, is there a look back period?
There is. It's a 5-year look back period.
I see. Okay.
And it has to. What we suggest is if they need things, then they should get things. They should prepay for their burial. They should do some pre-planning for their assets, and that won't count against them. We're not talking about going out and buying a hot tub or anything, but we're talking about actually paying for things that they see as a necessity that would help them down the road.
I see.
Medical only, again, like I say, you may have more than that $2,900 a month coming in, but you still may qualify under the 200% poverty level. What that means is, so Frank and Mary both have Medicare taken out of their Social Security, $170 a month. We can reimburse that under medical only. They have Blue Cross Blue Shield or Harvard Pilgrim Health as a Medigap plan, paying the 20% that Medicare does not pay. We can reimburse that. We can reimburse Medicare D, anything that's taken out from Medicare D, if they have a supplemental plan or if it's taken out from Social Security.
I see. That's big.
That's huge. Yeah, you're talking some Medigap plans can be $600 for a couple.
Right.
And that's keeping them in their home, like you discussed at the beginning. If we want to keep them in their homes. They don't want to leave. They built a life here. So and a lot of them are reluctant of asking money for assistance from their children or friends because it's a pride thing.
Right.
So.
Right.
But Medicare only is, or Medigap or the medical only program is one of the biggest things that we do.
And can you talk about what are the income or asset criteria regarding the medical only program?
Yeah. So again, it has to be within the 200% poverty level.
Yeah.
So if they fall within that 200% poverty level, then they're eligible And again, that's that $2,900 a month.
Yeah,
If they're over that, they may have a spend down.
I
So
see.
say they're getting $2,900 a month,
Yeah, or
and
say,
their
in
income,
Frank and Mary's case that they're getting $3,000 a month. That's kind of
sure,
my standard Frank and Mary. Frank's
right?
got 2,000 a month. Mary's getting 1,000 a month, right?
Yeah. So they're getting $3,000 a month, and the actual limit under 200% poverty is 2,900.
Yeah.
So they would have a spend down of $100 a month,
Oh,
which
I see.
means if they're on a medical only budget, and that's a budget that comes out from the state. It's not individually towns or anything like that. That's provided by the state annually in July. They would have a spend down of $100, and that would be taken out of one of them reimbursements. So they're getting $700 or $600 a month on reimbursements for Medicare D, Medicare B, Medigap. You take the $100 away, now they're getting $500.
Wow, this is a huge.
It is huge.
And for the medical only, do those asset criteria still apply?
Excuse me,
For the medical only benefit, are they still constrained by the asset criteria in terms of
they
how
are
much they can have in the bank? Okay,
absolutely. Yep.
okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, so that's the Chapter 115 program, but it's very intricate. It's very detailed. It's not something that a person can do on their own. They have to do it through a VSO, such as myself. They have to do it through the office, and we have to actually gather all their information, their tax information, their Social Security statements, 3 months of bank statements, things of that nature, their homeowners and policies and things like that.
And by the way, I tell all my the Franks and Marys of this world, don't try to do these forms by yourself. I mean, because and don't say no to yourself. Don't.
Correct.
You kind of hear about this program. Don't if you're thinking about this program, the best advice you could get is probably not at the Dunkin' Donuts from your friend while you're having coffee, right?
And that happens quite often.
Oh yeah, a lot of advice of various qualities gets given out at the Dunkin' Donuts. So you really just want to talk to you want to give Brian Stearns a call, because he's going to kind of help you kind of figure out all that stuff, right?
That's right. And if you're not in my jurisdiction, say you're in Marlboro or one of the other towns, then I can direct you to that town's VSO, and they can sit down with you and go over the same things that we're talking about today.
I get it. And those benefits would apply even if I haven't been in if I become a resident of Massachusetts, then it's all about the Massachusetts benefit.
Correct.
My son, who was in the Army and went to Afghanistan actually twice, is in Colorado.
Oh, thank you very much for that.
If he ever came back, right, he would be able to talk to you about these kinds of benefits, even though he's been in Colorado for a while.
Yeah, and that's just the Chapter 115 benefits. A young person that's coming out of the military that has no income, has no retirement, has no disability or anything like that, that's in transition, they should talk to a VSO as well, because there are benefits out there to help them, not only with the Chapter 115 program, but with any possible disability benefits that they may, disability injuries or illnesses that they incurred while in service that they may not even know about. Things like asthma are now compensable by the VA, and it's a presumptive illness resulting from burn pits and toxic exposures over in Afghanistan, and even the first Gulf War from the oil fires. So a lot of people may have illnesses and they can't explain them, but they don't have to explain them if they were in an area of responsibility, such as Afghanistan or Saudi Arabia. So that's a huge thing. That's one of the other things that we do, and we do real well, is we try to gather the information from individuals, including their medical information, to set up a claim for a disability. Yeah. And there's all types of disabilities. They're not just mental health disabilities. There's physical disabilities. There's disabilities that are secondary to a primary disability. So somebody injured their back and now they're having hip problems later in life. They may have arthritis as a result of that back injury. So a secondary injury is also considered a primary injury as far as payment goes and compensation. Right. And compensation ranges anywhere from 0% to 100%. Unlike Social Security. Social Security is you're either disabled or you're not disabled.
Right.
VA disability for the veteran is either 0% all the way up to 100% in 10% increments.
And that can change over time, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So a person that has a 10% back injury and it gets worse over time and it's documented over time, then they should consider reopening the claim based on new information.
So because there may be a whole lot of folks out there who are getting a check based on some level of disability right now, but now they're my folks, right? So they're getting old, and now it's acting up.
Right.
So this may be a real time where they would want to revisit that once again by talking to you about it.
Right, and there's no moratorium on claims. You can claim a disability at any time, and based on what you believe is caused by service.
Right. And once again, don't say no to yourself.
No,
Don't say
never.
no to yourself. Let the government say no, because remember, and once again, this isn't charity. This is, you're a veteran,
Absolutely
right?
not.
You
Right.
paid your dues, right? This is a big deal. This is just a big deal. Now, now I realize that the aid and attendance benefit is kind of more of a national benefit, tends to not be dealt with at the state or the local level. But can you talk to that? Can you speak to that one at
Sure,
all?
absolutely.
Because I think and once again, that's one I run into a lot, because I have so many folks who either are really homebound and really need care at home, or are heading to assisted living increasingly, because they really can't
Right.
manage it at home. So if you could talk about that a little bit, I'd really appreciate it.
Sure, absolutely. Aid and attendance, it's a pension program. It's not a compensation program. So we're looking at a totally different VA program.
Mhm.
And that is for people that need assistance in their home or in nursing home care. Or it's a benefit that's earned. And I'll get back to what you were saying earlier. These are not handouts. These are helping people that served and earned these benefits.
Right.
And people have fought Congress, and they fought all the way up to the Hill to make sure that these benefits are provided for our veterans. We provide these veterans benefits because they provided their service to our country. But aid and attendance is a little more unique. It's a little harder to attain. It's a pension program, and there's several different documents that you have to go through. Income documents primarily, how much you spend out, how much your income is coming in. It's just a basic tally sheet or income statement showing that, here's my income, here's my expenses, and to see if they qualify. And they can qualify if they're in nursing home care. They can qualify if they're in home, and the income comes to them, and they can pay for in-home care with that extra income. And again, it can keep you in your home, like you said at the beginning of the show or the program. We want to keep people in their home. There are available avenues to go down, and anybody that has any type of issue with in-home care that they need additional funds to help pay for that care, that's what aid and attendance is supposed to do. You need the regular aid and or attendance or assistance of another person for your daily living.
Right. And I really want to, encourage people once again to be thinking about this program, and don't say no to yourself, and don't, rely on information that you heard about. Because the interesting thing about the aid and attendance program is that while its point in theory is to subsidize your income up to a particular level, which I think for the veteran now is a little over $2,000 per month.
Mm-hmm.
Don't assume that because you're making, like in the Frank and Mary case, if you're making $2,000 a month, or Frank and Mary are making $3,000 in all, that therefore you don't qualify. Because for the purposes of that benefit, when you're figuring out your income, you subtract your medical expenses.
Correct.
So if you've got big medical expenses, and the case that I always use is the folks that are in an assisted living community, where you've got an expense, if it's a documented that you need to be in that community because they're providing the kinds of things you need in order to maintain your life, then the assisted living bill can get included as a medical expense.
Absolutely.
And as a result, you end up with income that is like less than zero, right? Once you figured out what your total, and typically and by the way, that's typically the case for folks who are in an assisted living, right? They're basically using their savings or to pay down the assisted living because they don't have the income to pay for the assisted living.
That's right. And the big thing about that is that income that they've saved all them years goes fast.
Right.
And just because you have $100,000 in the bank, that doesn't prevent you from qualifying for aid and attendance. which is, I believe, $147,000 in assets right now.
Right.
So if you're under that amount, try to qualify early, because that income's going to go down. It takes a few months, a few to several months to actually be approved.
Right.
So,
Right.
And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, and in that time that it takes to qualify, you're spending down that $100,000 to zero,
Right.
eventually.
Right.
And,
And you're just trying. And once again, if you're at home, I realize you're at home and you've got these big expenses. That can be a big help. Once again, don't say no to yourself, because, for example, I've had people in that kind of situation where they've got a home typically has no mortgage on it, right?
mm-hmm.
And they really want to stay at home. And what I suggest to people is, so go get a reverse mortgage, so go get a way that you could tap for money out of your home, because pulling money off of that reverse mortgage is not income, and therefore it doesn't affect the amount that the aid and attendance benefit may be giving you, right?
And that's a great point.
You with this extra source of money,
And that's a great point you make, because getting back to the Chapter 115, reverse mortgage doesn't count against that either. So that's right, income, right. But it's based on your home, and right. Your home is allowed. So what you say is 100% correct. There's no time to wait. Don't question yourself. Allow us to actually figure it out, to see if we can do something.
So can you tell me, based on your experience, is there a kind of a typical person who is a senior who is talking to you right now, or who kind of walks in to talk to you? And do you have a sense of about what percentage of the veterans in Hudson, for example, are taking advantage of this? Have actually met you, right?
Yeah, we have about 2,000 veterans in Hudson.
Yeah.
And I have touched base with pretty much all of them.
Oh, that's great.
We not everybody qualifies. Not everybody's a veteran. They may think they're a veteran. So again, we vet every person that comes into our office, and over the years, you get to know your community, and you should know your community. Larger communities, cities, it's not as possible, but small towns, we should know who our veterans are. And they come in, and I can have 4 people in one day. I can have 12 people in one day. Right. And some days I have 0 people. So outreach is important to us. We make sure that we try to get the information out there, but programs like yours help us tremendously to do that.
And how do you know how many veterans are in the community? Is there a database somehow that that the VA does?
The town local census. You can find out how many veterans. I get it from my town clerk. She will send it to me every year.
I see.
After the election and everything, or after the end of the year.
Yep.
And she'll send me a list of how many veterans, and I'll ask for the names, and I have all the information. I have access to that. It's a privileged list, of course.
That's great. No, and it's great that you do that kind of outreach, because I had no idea. I had thought that the veterans agents typically saw a very small, or kind of knew of a very small percentage of the veterans. But wow, to be actually really trying to connect with this really large pool of people, because then you're helping them, because that they're getting, as you say, you get to know them. It's kind of like a doctor, you kind of get to know them as they get older, and you can kind of be taught, adjusting things accordingly as their lives change.
Yeah, and I welcome any veteran or widow to come in. And our door is wide open. We will assist and even if you don't think you're eligible, like you said, that's not for you to determine. That's for you to seek out that information through your resources or my resources. And we're a great state. We're a great Commonwealth, and we have them resources available. Not every state.
And your existence is a tribute to that, right? Because
Correct.
You're there because the Commonwealth, among other things, is providing money to have veterans agents. Right? That's like a big deal. So if you could connect with the folks, with Sarah McCool, my wonderful friend here at Hudson TV. so that she can, put on a banner or something your contact information, your email, and your phone number,
Sure,
right?
absolutely. That'd be
And
great.
can you give us your phone number and tell it, and do you have a regular Hudson schedule to hours that you're typically in Hudson? Because
Yeah,
you're a busy guy, right?
I'm in Hudson. Well, my hours in Hudson are Monday through Friday.
Yep.
Uh, Typically, anywhere from 7 to 3, 8 to 4, 9 to 5. It varies because I also do a ride share program that allows veterans to go to their appointments at no cost to them.
I see.
So we have received a grant from a company in town, and they provide a vehicle, and we can get veterans to their appointments throughout the state, and no cost to them. So I may or may not be in the office those hours, but those are typically my hours in Hudson.
I get it.
I'm in Southborough on Monday evenings, and I'm in Berlin and Bolton on Tuesday through Thursday evenings. And that's about it, I think.
And then you sleep. And then you sleep. So tell us, what is your phone
It's
number?
an avocation, true. It's a true avocation.
So for folks who are trying to reach you in Hudson, what is your best number?
Yes, 978-568-9635.
That's
Now
great.
that number goes to my phone, but it also goes to my cell phone. And if you leave a message, I'll get the message. And I try to return calls within 24 hours.
That's great. Well, Brian, thank you so much for taking this time. I really appreciate it. And once again, this is really the point of this show, right? Is to be really having people kind of connected, like a name to a face, right?
Sure.
Because for folks who are kind of like, oh, I don't want to deal with this big bureaucracy, they can say to themselves, well, he looks like a friendly guy. I can talk to Brian. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
No, I thank you for having me. I appreciate being able to, get our message out. Your show's great. I do certainly appreciate any information that you can put out there on our behalf. So thank you.
And folks, so this is a friendly guy. So talk to him, and by the way, in general, people would always prefer that you talk to him before there's an emergency so that they have a sense of kind of what, the issues might be.
Great point.
Even if you don't have a problem right now, just go talk to him. He's been here forever. It sounds like he's going to stay forever, right? And that way, if there's an issue, you can talk to him. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Brian. Thanks to the folks at Hudson Cable, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next installment of Frank and Mary here in Hudson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.